The DJ accepts no responsibility for the next record.
Say what?
Oh no, he didn't.
Where's the money, man? Where's my money?
It's time to man up, America.
Let's do this.
Oh, Cortez. Yeah, we're here. We're already in the groove. Talk 101.3 The Buzz, WTNB Television. Yeah, we're going to talk about how Cortez wants you not to fly anymore. We'll get to that. Again, Talk 101.3 The Buzz.
Or I've shared it.
WTNB Television.
On my socials.
Y'all know I don't like to talk about Asatio or whatever Cortez.
No.
Mute.
I tried to get there. Sorry, I messed up.
See, I don't really like giving her more media attention.
I know you don't like to give her more media attention. The thing is, man, I got a lot of thoughts on this. You're not going to like any of them. No, we've been in a lot of agreement.
Are we just going to jump right in?
No, we've been in a lot of agreement.
No fluff. I thought we were going to talk about the Cajun lady.
Yeah, let's talk about the Cajun lady.
So,
look how easy that was.
Like, we're supposed to, start out on
all
this
right,
stuff.
Well, let's go easy. Let's start
we got to build viewership.
Let's
and
start with the
then
Cajun lady because
truth.
this is a new local treasure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. What is the Cajun?
You missed something yesterday, Creasy. You missed something yesterday. And we can't, you know how you travel the lands. Yeah. You know how I float above America.
Right.
You travel the land.
Right.
We are men of means, Creasy.
Right.
Well, yesterday, we had like a man up
I'm
field
trampled
trip.
beneath the dirt of the feet of the populace.
That's true.
Okay.
That's also true.
Between all of us.
We got it all covered.
Yeah.
So yesterday, we went to the Cajun lady. Have you heard of this?
No.
So when you drive down 64 Highway, right? That's what this thing's called. Drive down 64 Highway towards the Coy River.
Yeah.
And you get to the 64 Highway 411 intersection.
Yeah.
And you can get off there and then turn left to head towards the Hiwassee River. If you turn right, about a quarter of a mile down on your left is this shack. It's right by where all the tornadoes ripped everything up. Okay.
And this is on 411.
On 411.
On 411.
All right.
On the left. And she's got a sign up, says Cajun Lady.
All right.
It's just a brick building that she's painted partially pink and there's like seashells in the...
Oyster shells.
Oyster shells in the...
driveway.
Right, in the driveway. And all that I had been hearing... over and over, right? The rumor was, this is the best shrimp that you're gonna that you're ever gonna eat.
Okay.
So we went to investigate, and I don't know that it's the best shrimp I've ever had, but
it's the best local shrimp.
It's the best local shrimp that I've ever had,
and it's pricey, but
it was pricey. But the meal was substantial.
Shrimp is pricey.
That's right, and it was not a small meal.
How did she fix it?
All the ways.
Well, it was double A, Rob and I, and we decided that we were going to go family style on this thing.
Okay. We shrimped.
Double A did the Cajun Creole shrimp.
I got the regular shrimp, just the
fried,
regular
battered fried, and I got the coconut shrimp.
Yeah.
Which was, I've never had it like that before. I'm thinking battered fried with coconut, and it wasn't. It was glazed with coconut. And all of them were very good.
Yeah, it was delicious.
I'll have to try it.
It was really delicious.
What was it that we had that Annie ordered that had the liver in it?
I don't know. It was like called
boudin balls.
Boudin balls.
Right.
Boudin balls.
Boudin balls.
I thought they were good. They were good with hot sauce.
Mine tasted like hot sauce. I put a lot of hot sauce.
Like you're not a fan of liver though.
No.
Oh,
so that's why.
Loves liver. Yeah.
I like it in things like boudin. I can't eat it straight up. Like
I think
my
that
dad
was
could
my
pan
first
fry
time.
it, and I
think
never
that
could
was
do
my
it.
first time having boudin in my life.
Yeah.
And when I bit, of course, I tried my first bite with nothing.
Right.
There was like a flavor there, but I didn't know what it was. I guess liver.
Liver has a flavor.
And I was like, I don't know about this.
You found
So Adam
Amy
says to me,
umami.
needs hot sauce. Umami? What? It's not showing up on my. I'm not seeing her comment. I don't even know. So anyway, I had the Louisiana hot sauce, Creasy.
Yeah.
And I drenched this boudin ball in the Louisiana hot sauce. So that's the one. Mine tasted that way.
Yeah.
That's what mine tasted like.
Good. Well, yeah, I'm a foodie. I'll check that out.
Yeah. But she's nice. The lady is nice. She did a couple things that I really liked. So, for instance, she doesn't ask you what you want to drink.
Right.
Once she takes your order, she goes sweet or unsweet.
Right.
I like
Exactly.
that.
I mean,
That's
you
the
could
thing
just
I did.
omit the unsweet.
Yeah. Have you guys?
Okay,
Any of you
what are
guys
you
ever?
sweet
Either of you ever eaten at Dreamland Ribs in
I was
Alabama?
going to say the exact same
have not.
Remember, half or full. That's the only thing they ask you.
And they only serve white loaf bread.
White loaf bread,
And
sunbeam bread.
If you
that
ask for anything else, it's like
it's not on the menu.
out.
Well, it's not even on the menu. You can have. I remember it was a huge deal when they added. I think now you can get a half a barbecue chicken or something. But so when you went to Dreamland Ribs,
I've never been. Tell me.
Dreamland Ribs, Birmingham, Alabama is the first location, right downtown. Now there's also one now in Tuscaloosa, and I think there's 3 total.
I've eaten at the one in Tuscaloosa.
Okay, so when you go in, this family's been making ribs the exact same recipe forever. It is styrofoam plates.
Yep.
They take a loaf of bread to your table, a sunbeam bread, rip the bag open, set it in the middle of your table. That's for sopping.
Yep.
Right? Then they ask you this question. They say, half or full. So for your slab
Rack,
of ribs.
yeah.
Half rack, full rack is one question. Question 2 is hot or regular slaw. Question 3 is sweet or unsweet. Those are your options.
Yep.
You don't order
rib
anything
shack.
else. You don't order anything else at Dreamland Ribs.
Oh, and if you do, you come under scorn.
Well, it would be weird to even try. It would be weird to even try.
I think I asked for cornbread, and she was like, "Sir,
It
we don't
doesn't
do
even
that
make
here."
sense because they don't make it there. That's
No.
and that's the menu. It reminded me of like the first time I ever saw a menu at Chipotle, and I was amazed. It was like, "Do you want the steak or chicken burrito?" And that was it. Do you remember when that was it? And it was like white or brown rice, steak or chicken burrito. Those were your options at Chipotle.
Right. Well, there's something to be said for doing one thing and doing it well.
That's right.
And I think if you can get away with it, it's ribs or barbecue, right?
Yeah.
We don't go to a barbecue joint going, do you have lasagna?
Chicken
menu.
strips. Do you have chicken strips?
Yeah,
No.
now some people do. Well, because barbecue and chicken
so-
still rolls. But I'm a fan, there's 3 things you need on the menu at a barbecue joint. I'm not going into sides and fixings. You can have your corner what, but 3 core products that you
Ribs.
need: ribs, pulled pork,
and wings.
roasted chicken.
Oh, roasted chicken. I guess that's fair.
chicken.
I'm a wings guy, but I guess you're right. I think
It's pretty
you're
much
right,
a big
roasted
wing.
chicken. Yeah, it's a big
Because
wing.
it's always going to be dark meat.
That's right. It's
It's going to be a
big
thigh.
wing. No,
It's going to be smoked, and that's the only way you should eat a thigh and a leg.
Well, it was
on
a big
chicken.
deal. So they added that exact thing to the Dreamland menu years ago, and it was a huge deal. People were like, "What are you doing?" Right? They did not no pulled pork on that menu. It's a half or full slab. That's the answer.
That's it.
So and I got an answer for you. Always the full.
Oh yeah.
Always the full slab is what I order. What's your favorite?
They'll surely they'll
are
cut
we
the
willing
tape
to
for
man
you.
up on our favorite local ribs here?
Favorite
I don't know if I have a
local-
favorite local ribs. The ones that come off my smoker.
I
They're
usually
good.
get
My
some
mom's
good-
Christmas ribs are stupid.
I
good.
only smoke ribs for about 30 minutes, and then I move it and finish it in the oven to get them tender like I want to, and actually braise them in the oven.
Yeah.
So not a lot of restaurants will do that because it takes too much time, and they've got to turn around so many. So I've never really had a good restaurant rib
They're
like
out there.
that.
They're out there.
But I haven't been to the rib shack or the rib place in Alabama. I haven't been.
Yeah, Dreamland.
I've just been disappointed when I went to Calhoun's on the River and asked for ribs before.
When you look up the 3 best ribs, okay, in if you just did a Google search for best ribs in America, 3 different places would pull up, right? One would be Dreamland in Alabama. One would be the Rendezvous in Memphis.
Yeah, I've been there.
And the other one is a place, and I might get this wrong. Internet, correct me if I get it wrong. It's in Cincinnati, Ohio, believe it or not. There's a Cincinnati rib house, and I have had all three. Mm-hmm. I've had all three of the ribs. They're all very different. Mm-hmm. And I can say that, like, when you get one of these chances to eat at a place that's been on the Food Network and stuff, you should do it, right? And you should try the thing that everybody loves at that thing. I've had the full slab of ribs at all three of the ones that are considered the best in our entire country. And I can tell you, all three were different, and all three 100% deserved to be on that list.
Have you been to Martin's in Nashville?
No, but I'll go.
I think that's a good place.
Yeah.
So I'm interested, what's your best rib place here?
Here, man, I'll tell you, the truth is that for a nice full slab of ribs, right here in our town, I like Stadium. I like Stadium Barbecue.
Yeah.
Stadium's good, but their roasted chicken's money.
Well, here's the deal. I was going to say, the only problem...
Absolute money.
The only problem with Stadium is their wings are also great. Their smoked wings are super great. So... I'll tell you a funny story about when I went to Rendezvous. So Ashley's from Memphis. She takes me to the Rendezvous. I'm super excited. I'm going to the Rendezvous. Now, at this place is in an alley, right? Mm-hmm. If you were just walking by, you would never even think I should go eat.
Those are the best ones.
Right. And you go down. So in the Rendezvous...
We've all seen the House of Cards.
Right.
We
that's
know.
right. Yeah. Well, that's like Dreamland. That's modeled after like Dreamland ribs. So you go down in the basement, Montgomery Inn. That's right. Tim Frady nailed it. Listen, Montgomery Inn is where I ate ribs. Now, they were probably, by the way, Tim, my favorite of the three, but I won't get into all that. So at the Rendezvous, though, for like ambiance, you go downstairs into this place. You go all the way down. And they're pumping the smoke out. Now, when you go downstairs in the Rendezvous, there's a hole in the wall where they've been making ribs forever, and it's literally collapsing, right? And it's a fire that they keep going constantly, and you can't see the people because of the smoke. So the guy's cooking, and the way they cook them is they flash cook the ribs. So they have them all. They've been smoking them, and they take these things, season them, boom, heat them in the fire, bring them out, right? So I'm outside waiting for Ashley, because literally on the other side of the thing is where you park the car. I forget, she had to go back to the car. So I'm standing there, and this guy comes upstairs who works at the Rendezvous. And he's standing next to me, and he smells amazing. He's just covered in smoke. He's just like, it's incredible. Who knows? It looked like he'd been down in a coal mine like for 10 years, right? And I turn to him, and I go, man, Rendezvous, I'm finally here. I'm at the Mecca. And he's like, yeah. I said... So what do you recommend I eat? I want to ask this guy, what am I going to eat? So this is the coolest part. He looks around like it's a secret, and he goes, the ribs? I said, okay, that's fair. I go, that's fair. I go, what should I get as a side? And he goes, brisket. So, like, I go, really? He goes, yeah. So I went down and I ordered ribs with a side of brisket, man. And I ate it because that's what he said he would eat if he was ordering for himself.
Yeah, I agree.
It was so freaking good, man. But, yeah, this place, Montgomery Inn in Cincinnati, if you love ribs, I would definitely say that's actually worth a weekend drive. Go to Cincinnati and eat at Montgomery Inn. It's delicious. They're probably my favorites, so. Well, Shuford's Barbecue in Chattanooga, I've heard good things.
What's the place on the hill? Champy's? Or
Sugars.
Sugars
is good.
Sugars is okay.
I like Sugars. I like Sugars.
Like, I'm going there. I'm humoring it.
They have grilled okra.
Yeah.
Very good. Year round, they have grilled okra.
Do you remember for a while when everybody just kept getting murdered at that hotel next to Sugars? And you weren't sure, like, every single time you went up there's, like, police tape. And you're like, I'm just here for the ribs. Nobody murder me, please. That was pretty good. But, so, anyway, locally, I'm a fan of Stadium. And then another shout-out to the Cajun lady. And, Rick, you might get she told us, right, they want to bring a food truck.
They did.
To Cleveland. And that she said she's been bringing samples on Whoop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
She's going to bring samples.
And they're our mortal enemy, right?
They're your mortal enemy.
No, ours.
No,
they're our nemesis.
Matador's my friend.
Matador's our friend.
He's just talking about the morning jive.
Yeah, the morning jive. The morning jive doesn't love you. They want you to fail. They don't like Creasy. Anyway, you listen to me, morning jive. Which camera am I looking at?
Just pick one.
Yeah, which
Here,
one
I'll
do you want
give
me to
close up camera here?
Yeah. Am I looking right?
There you go.
You listen to me. This one?
Yeah.
You listen to me, morning jive. We've got your number, see? And we're the #1 morning show here in Cleveland, Tennessee.
Yeah, see?
You understand what I'm saying, see? We're men of means, see? And we're going to have the Cajun lady bring food on our show. You understand?
That's right, yeah.
Maybe we take the Matador.
Twist your mustache while you do that.
I'm going to ride across the parking lot from the Matador.
Yeah, Matador.
Get over here, Matador.
Cajun, so this was the coolest part, and you forgot about this already.
Did I?
Because you couldn't appreciate it because of your beatus.
Oh,
But,
that's true. I couldn't.
We're sitting there.
I couldn't appreciate
We're having deep conversations about how our country's falling apart.
It was a good
you and
conversation. It was a good conversation.
And we've sat there way too long. It's clear that the lunch crowd has...
They're all gone. We're alone. We're alone.
It's just the Cajun lady. Her and the cook have sat down to eat their own lunch.
Yeah.
It's clear that it's past closing time.
Yeah.
And she walks up to us, and rather than shoo us off, she goes...
Yeah, this
kind
was
of on the house bread pudding.
Yeah,
right in the middle.
And listen, it was cool because she brought us bread pudding
And
with three spoons, man. It's like she knew we were a TV crew.
Yeah.
You don't get that, do you, morning jive? That doesn't happen to you with the Cajun lady. That only happens to us.
She was like, "Y'all look like you could use a little sweetness in your world." Of course, with the topic we were discussing, that probably was fitting.
Yeah, it was awesome. Anyway, and I want to shout out to the Red Hat Club.
Yeah,
there was
they were hanging.
a bunch of little old ladies in there with their Red Hat Club.
And purple jackets.
So they had purple jackets and red hats. They were all in eating
Except the one rebel that had a red jacket and a purple hat.
It was her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So they were celebrating her birthday. So shout out to you, red jacket lady. And so Annie came in, Double A came in, and she was a little intimidated by the Red Hat Club. Understandable.
Now, when you say red hat, are you saying MAGA hats?
No, they were like fancy hats. Fancy
okay.
red hats.
Red hat.
And they had said, I said to them, ladies, how are you doing? And I just had introduced myself to them. And clearly women of means. These were fantastic looking, like they're just...
These hats were expensive hats.
What'd you call it? I don't want to be offensive. This sometimes gets me in trouble. But like grand old dames.
Yeah.
Like they look like Southern dames, man. Like they were out like
Southern Belles.
Yeah, they were out on the thing, right?
You're on a good track to run for office in Virginia. Continue.
I'm ready. So anyway, listen, I only need 2 more guys to fail miserably. And then I take over the whole state, see? Try that, morning jive. So anyway, Annie was kind of afraid to approach them, you know, which I understand. But she did, and they were like, so welcome. She's practically a red hat lady at this point. I thought it was going to happen. I thought
they thought she just forgot her hat.
Yeah, I thought they were going to hand her the hat right then, man. So she had probably Double A had the best.
I think that's how it goes down. I don't think you get to purchase your own hat. Like
they
find one for you, and like
one,
this hat was meant for you. Welcome to the club.
I'm going to do that for us with smoking jackets.
Kind of like a trail name. If you've ever hiked the Appalachian Trail, you don't give yourself a trail name.
No,
You're given a name.
Okay. Yeah, by another person on the trail, right?
The little login books at the hostels is what you, or the shelters, that's what you sign in with.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I was given one, Rachel was given one.
What was yours? What was your name?
Easy Manic.
Easy Manic. That's you. What was hers?
Haunches.
Now, who hands out these names?
No, other trail hobos, man.
Other trail hobos, yeah.
Trail
People
hobos.
who haven't bathed in weeks.
This also happens on trains with actual hobos. Well, you don't know this, but when you first hop a rail, Creasy,
right?
Okay, when you first hop a rail and someone's in the car, well, the train's moving,
right?
You can't just get out,
right?
But you've basically it's like walking in someone's bedroom, right?
Right.
So first thing you have to ask yourself is this a singing hobo or is it a stabbing hobo?
Or no, a magical hobo.
Well, there are magical hobos. That's different. They're a lot more rare. So most of them are singing or stabbing hobos. If it's a stabbing hobo, you try to hang out as far away from them as possible, and when the train slows down, you just jump off.
Okay.
That's not the rail for you. If it's a singing hobo, you say to him, sing me a song. He sings a song, and in the song, he gives you your nickname.
Okay.
Right?
Now, how do you know by looking? Is this a stabbing hobo or a singing hobo?
In the presence of blood.
Blood?
That's part of it.
Blood stains?
That's part of it. Part of it, though, is the harmonica.
Okay,
if he's got a harmonica
or a banjo,
right? A harmonica
With one
or a
string
banjo,
missing.
a harmonica or a banjo. He's probably a singing hobo. If he has a knife, or he just keeps like holding his pocket,
Right.
maybe something's
That's
in
a
there.
bad sign,
He's a
especially-
stabbing hobo. So,
now here's how you know if you've come upon a magical hobo.
yeah,
You don't say the first word because you didn't know he was there
That's right.
until he speaks to you.
Okay.
and he almost
And he
always
says something
right.
ominous like, "Who happens upon my car?"
That's right. He says that, or you just hear like a still voice, a very quiet voice say, "Hoping to see America," and like if you say yes, understand you're a hobo for life.
And if
At
you're
that point.
really, really lucky, the coup de grace of magical hobos is if you encounter Sean Mullins.
Sean Mullins. Okay.
I didn't know that. That makes perfect sense.
That's
now.
an absolute perfect. Every great song Sean Mullins wrote, he wrote in a
He wrote
railroad
a
car.
train car. That makes sense.
Well, Roger Miller. I mean,
You know,
Now that you mention, I have met all three of those hobos in the New York subway. I'm
right?
certain
Yeah, that's
of
the
it.
modern version.
Yeah,
That's the
occasionally
modern
they
version.
decide to go high cotton
That's
and they'll
right.
hit the subway.
That's right.
Occasionally.
High cotton.
Well, was this a soft enough intro for you?
I think so.
You wanted a fluffy intro.
Speaking of
yeah.
magical hobos,
Yeah.
Asacio whatever Cortez.
Yeah.
I
Don't
can't-
pretend you don't know her name.
She is.
I'm the one who doesn't
couldn't
know
afford
her
her
name.
own
Oh,
apartment.
AOC.
AOC.
Has joined with a coalition of other socialist Democrats to pass a green policy initiative which says we will be carbon neutral in 10 years, which
Yeah, 2030.
every expert says is entirely way too ambitious.
Impossible.
The 2050 date was ambitious.
Right.
But
They
here's
said 2050 plus like I don't know, like $100 billion maybe we could get there.
but their whole thing is like, well, we can get there faster if everyone stops flying.
Yeah.
Well, part of it is it's not that. Don't.
No, that's what it says.
No, here's what it is. If you were, it's not. We can get there faster if everyone stops flying. It's that the law itself has a certain amount of carbon emissions allowed,
Right.
And current planes, the way they're built, just naturally blow that out of the water, right?
Everybody's going to have to sacrifice. Let's just face it. We're going to have to sacrifice and continue taking from our pockets and giving to those who, don't have it. That's the way it is.
Sure,
Well, she's called for elimination of air travel along with her colleagues,
it's part of it, yeah.
which is just 100 years ago.
Because they say
in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina,
1903.
two brothers, a little over 100 years
I had a
ago.
magical hobo tell me the story once.
So there'll be a tombstone for air travel that says 1903
To 2020
to
or 2030.
2030.
Arise, shine.
The time
Well,
that we defied
So they.
Icarus
Yeah.
defied.
So here's what they say will
Gravity.
replace it. The interesting thing is what they say is going to replace it is high-speed rails. Mm-hmm. So high-speed rails are going to replace our need to fly.
Yeah. Europe has those.
And so
And we're just like
I
I'm a
have an
fan.
unpopular opinion, Creasy, for you. You're going to get mad at me
Okay,
today.
bring
You're
it.
going to get mad at me today.
Bring it.
I've decided she is like she's the liberal version of what everyone thought POTUS was going to be. Right? So here's the deal. You ready?
Unpack that.
I will. Here's the deal. Trump is saying so this we're going to be carbon emission free by 2030
Yeah.
is like their version of we're going to build a wall and make Mexico pay for it. Right? All these things that like are completely they're made up things. They're made up things that like POTUS just said, and they're going to change over time, right? Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen is they introduce this idea. We're going to be carbon zero footprint by 2030, right? And we're all going to stop flying. Then it's going to be like, well, we're not really going to be carbon zero by 2030, but we're still going to stop flying. Or they're going to be like, well, I didn't really mean you meant you were going to stop flying. I meant we're going to be carbon zero only in the carbon zero parts of our lives, but we were still going to make carbons in the other parts.
So here's what I think's going on there with this whole climate change thing. And, I understand there's climate change. I got that.
There's climate
But,
change. There's
you know
climate
what?
change.
Right now, the government is trying to fix that. And the only thing government knows how to do is tax.
Uh-oh.
Okay? So what's going to happen is when at the right time, which as time goes on, we'll see what happens with the climate, we'll see. But there are already people working on it. Some innovator, some innovation.
Probably Elon Musk.
Is going to come up with the solutions. Innovators, and they will come up with the solutions. Just like every great solution has come up, it hasn't come out of Washington, D.C.
No, it's come out of somebody trying to make some money.
That's right.
No,
well, that's okay.
One of three things happens, though, if you're too successful at innovation. One, the government takes over the industry and price fixes it. Two, the government taxes you into oblivion to where it stifles your innovation. Or three, China steals it. So all three of those involve the government and current trade talks with China.
It's as if you're saying a smaller government will be good.
That's right.
I don't think people are ready for that idea right now.
Sorry, I got all magical hobo on you
We've got to
guys
be careful. We got to be careful.
My bad.
When
I
we
float
talk.
above America.
That's right.
Listen, there's a latent truth that we have to be careful with giving out too quickly. Smaller government, states' rights, having choices. Those are all things the American people aren't ready for right now. We're still stuck on anger and resentment, and those consume most of our time.
Right. Yeah, we're just too mad.
We're not ready for ideas.
No.
Those require thinking.
Right. You can't just make a meme out of it.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, if angry political memes could solve our problems, we would be living in a paradise.
Well, I tell you what AOC needs to do. She needs to become the ambassador to Venezuela.
Okay.
And let's see how that works out for her.
Why do you feel that way, Creasy?
Because she's obviously doesn't know what she's talking about.
Okay.
When she's first of all, she's a member of the Democrat Socialist Party. She's
absolutely. We're aware.
Democrat.
Yeah, no, she's not even.
We've been told. That. We're reminded every time they announce her.
Yeah,
and some of our liberal.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Isn't that just like the weirdest thing? And I know. Listen, guys. Wait. To my liberal friends who watch this show.
Yes. Let
me say to both of you that. I get it. I know that democratic socialist isn't straight up communism thing. Let's all be smarter than that on this show.
Still doesn't work,
but it's weird. It's just weird that in America we could make that a title thing that we're like all cool with. Like I actually have a friend who's a straight up socialist. He's a lawyer in Atlanta. He's cool. Every once in a while he watches the show. He's a cool dude, but he would straight up tell you like he thinks if communism worked it would work, which that's what we all think, right? Like even this dude, there's a part of him that loves, I think, the fact that being a socialist is like kind of edgy, not normal American. Okay. So why isn't this like, right, there's a subversiveness to it. He likes other things, like he likes soccer instead of Monday Night Football. There's a lot of things about this dude that aren't like your normal.
She's like the Fonz, right?
I'm listening.
The Fonz could do like the Fonz was like, hey, I could do it, but I'm not gonna.
Right.
That was kind of the appeal. Yeah. So she's kind of like government, common sense, knowledge. Who needs it?
That's right. And what I'm just trying to say to my conservative friends, my Republican friends actually, is to me it's very reminiscent of a current president. Right? The modus operandi. Different agendas, different thoughts, but this whole idea, like, I'm just going to say a thing or, like, introduce a bill, or I'm going to say, like, I'm just going to lock this person up. No, I don't really mean it. Right? We got some bad hombres.
But I think she means it. I think she really thinks.
I think she really means it. And let me tell you something. Can you imagine if Donald J., the Donald, actually did the things that he said he was going to do? It would be a really weird place that we lived in, right? Because we would have a wall that Mexico had paid for. We'd be like, how'd that happen? There'd be a lot of things.
Well, let's give him some
time. The swamp would be drained.
Let's
No, admittedly.
And a beautiful hotel would embark on every corner where a Rite Aid once stood.
Well, and right, to his credit, I do want to say, for those of you who say that Donald hasn't drained the swamp.
That's right.
He has definitely at least started with his own cabinet. Like, he drains it and redrains it and redrains it and redrains it, right, Creasy? So anyway, I think she is that bathwater is getting dirty, drain the swamp. It's getting dirty, drain the swamp. So anyway, my point is,
if you wanted to drain the swamp, you needed Walt Disney.
I think you're right. She means it. She means it, dude. And
she lives in La La Land.
Goodbye planes.
Yeah.
This is what, like, well, I'm not going to say.
She might be their.
I'm not going to say which
she might be their
member.
very best chance for president.
This family member would resent me if I actually mentioned their name.
Don't say their name. We're trying not to do that anymore.
I'm not going to. But I have a family member.
I'm trying not to say
who
any names
said,
if they're not in here.
This girl's always spent her life trying to figure out who else could pay for what she wanted to do.
Absolutely.
Like she doesn't know how to work. Like, literally has been a, how do I not work to get what everyone else has?
Yeah.
Like, that's how they feel when they see her talk.
Yeah.
I said, but that's kind of democratic socialism to a core, is we're a collective organism, right?
Yeah.
We're not individuals in a collective. We're a collective organism.
Yeah.
And it strips you of individual identity to a certain degree. And if you think it works, all I got to tell you is Venezuela. Just look at Venezuela. I know everybody thinks they're so much better than any other country in this world. You accuse conservatives of having nationalistic ignorance and arrogance, but truthfully, if you're a democratic socialist and you can't look at other countries who've tried this experiment and see what it leads to, as soon as Venezuela couldn't export enough oil, boom, they couldn't pay for their programs. And now you have a crisis down there where we don't really know who's in charge, right?
Right.
You've got two guys who say they're in charge, and
We got one we're recognizing,
yeah.
and he's the new guy.
And go no further than Cuba. Talk to some Cuban Americans in Miami. They had a representative from Congress, representative on the news this morning, and they were addressing AOC's comments about socialism. I mean, people, we forget history, and it is frightening that talk to some Cuban Americans in Miami. They will tell you what socialism does. My wife visited Cuba a year and a half ago. Those families are rationed with 2 chicken legs a month, and I'm not exaggerating. You know, they have no say in what they do. The government just
Well, have you
does.
seen
I wanna
the tours,
see-
the American tour thing? So this industry's huge with now that the fact that we've lifted the embargo and we're going and spending money down there. And literally somebody on Facebook, a friend of mine, is in Cuba and posts a picture of this lady and says she's like a cardiologist,
Right.
right? And she's taking us on tours and she makes more money
On the tour, right? Yeah.
leading us around Cuba than she does as a cardiologist.
Now, I can understand how part of this, I'm going to say, part of it culturally, because we're a pretty capitalistic society still, right? I know that people would say that we're in a fight over whether that's going to stay that way or not. I'm not disagreeing with that either. Part of it, right, is us saying that we value, some people are just valuing the dollar more. So they're saying that there's more value to the tour than there is being a cardiologist because of how much money she makes, right? Mm-hmm. But not all cultures are that way. Not all people value the dollar, so to speak, in the same way that we do, right? I do think, though, that when we look at infrastructure, you were saying speak to some Cuban Americans, right? Mm-hmm. I got the chance to spend some time in what they call the Yucca, right? Years ago, I had a band. We were on tour, and we toured Florida for about 3 months straight. We stayed with a Cuban family in the Yucca, so the young urban Cuban Americans, right? And I would encourage you, don't just seek out Cuban Americans, but specifically seek out Cuban Americans that are liberals, because they will look at you and say, you don't want democratic socialism. You don't want socialism as part. Like, even the ones who are relatively liberal in America, right? They'd be considered liberals, young liberals, right? Would tell you do not want what Cuba has, and they are very specific about it. It's not some floating weird thing where they're not sure why they don't like it, right? Like you said, 2 chicken legs a month means something, right? It's a real way that people out there live. It's easy to forget that here in America.
Here's socialism in Cuba. You have cattle. You raise cattle. The government tells you what you can do with that cattle. You know, if you want to sell milk, the government may say, "No, you're not gonna sell milk. You're gonna, sell beef or whatever." Right. They don't own the property the cattle are on, even though I'm tending it. The government owns the property. Is that what we want? No, not for me.
No,
Hey,
we want Monsanto.
You know where else that's the case? The Commonwealth of Virginia. That's true. You don't own property in Virginia.
Yeah.
It's technically always owned by the Commonwealth. It can be passed down from generation to generation. You can purchase use of that property. You never truly own
It's
it.
kind of like leasing.
Kind of.
You're like leasing the land.
Yeah. So it's interesting. An interesting element of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Well, maybe something to do with blackface that came out of this, Commonwealth of Virginia. I don't know, but something is badly wrong in Virginia.
Something crazy's going on in Virginia. Cortez better get down there quick. And get this worked
They
out.
need her right now.
They do need
They
her,
need her
man.
right now because I don't think anyone has sexually assaulted her, or she has never sexually assaulted anyone, and I have trouble thinking she's ever dressed in blackface. So
Yep.
Creasy and I were talking about this before the show. So now the Attorney General, who's third in line. So you had the governor who had a picture in his yearbook of someone in blackface and in a KKK outfit.
Yeah, sorry
He
about
said-
that. Sorry about that, blackface, he says.
Sorry about that. No, that's not the time I dressed in blackface.
Not sure if it was me.
That was another time.
There were other photos of me in blackface that apparently I was able to get rid of.
I was confused.
I'm not even sure if
Just
that's
heads
me.
up.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if that's me. There was a moment where he wasn't sure if he was the blackface or the KKK guy. I'm not sure which one of those racist things I am.
This was my favorite. Was I don't know. That's not me. But heads up, I did dress in blackface as Michael Jackson, and in my defense, there wasn't a white Michael at that time.
Yeah.
There wasn't a white Michael.
So you're
because
saying
it was
this was the
1980.
I do want to say
And
this.
there was only black Michael in 1980, and I really wanted to be Michael, so I had to blackface. That's what the governors.
I need to say this in case you guys are always pressuring me to run for office. And
we can never get you out of floating above them.
Everybody's I can't come down. Not right now. It's too dangerous down here. So here's the thing. People don't know this, Creasy.
Yeah.
I loved Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I loved Michael Jackson, dude. And my grandma got me a Michael Jackson jacket at a
What about the glove?
Yes.
It came with
I had a sparkle glove.
Okay.
I had a sparkle sequins glove that I wore. But even me, young Rob Alderman, who on this show, right, there have been degrees of wokeness that have occurred before your very eyes, America.
Yeah.
I own it. I own the things I don't know. And I say, you don't know what you don't know. I'm sorry for this. I don't. Even young Rob Alderman, who loved Michael Jackson as his very own, grew up in Gary, right? Michael Jackson's from Gary. I'm in Maryville, right next door to Gary. We kind of adopted Gary as our own. I was born in Gary, Indiana, right?
Not Louisiana, Paris, France,
Gotcha.
or Rome.
Pause. That was an interesting. What you just did was from the Music Man. I'm super proud of you. Here's the deal. You thought I would miss that. I don't. Even young Rob Alderman isn't worried about my old high school pictures, right? Because I knew then that's not a thing we do. We don't do that. We're not gonna right? I thought Michael Jackson was cool because he was Michael Jackson.
It's mind-boggling, really.
Right?
So you did dress in blackface.
This dude, no, I did not.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying. I did not dress in blackface.
So this blackface issue happened with the governor. Then there was the sexual assault allegation of the lieutenant governor. But then the attorney general comes out and says, I might have blackfaced myself.
I also blackfaced.
He did.
Just in case
dressed
you
up
guys
like a
find-
rapper.
That's right.
In 1980.
Yeah, just in case you guys see this, right? Because now everybody's like, how can I burn those yearbooks? Stat, right?
Well, here's the thing. I think we've got to give the Attorney General a break because he dressed in blackface as a rapper, but only if he can prove he had flow. Right? If he can prove he had flow,
right.
we'll give you a pass because you're really doing the rapper thing, maybe.
Yeah.
No, I told Creasy before the show. I said, so I was kind of curious. I don't know
who just messaged you, but it was a book. So it was such a long message that it got my attention. I never even pay any attention to Adam's computer while we're sitting here, but this message just this long popped up. Blam!
But so before the show, I'll check it later.
Somebody
Read it
doesn't
down.
like what you just said.
Probably not.
Me?
Him.
Somebody probably thinks he doesn't have flow.
Yeah.
I said I'm curious because to me it seems like blackface being taboo has been around for a really long time. Like, this isn't a recent thing. This isn't like 1990s woke. We shouldn't do that. So I kind of asked my dad. I'm like, hey, Dad, did you ever blackface? And he was like, never. And I asked my grandmother, did my grandfather ever? Never would they do that. Like, it was 1920 became taboo to blackface, right?
Right, yeah.
So it's been like 100 years. So just to say, well, that was back then in 1980.
Yeah.
It was kind of a bad thing then, and that's kind of what I had revisited. That's what I was trying
to get. Even young Rob Alderman, who was admittedly naive about everything and still is,
and wanted to be Michael,
knew
I can't.
I don't blackface. I wear the jacket and the glove and be like, I think he's cool, but I'm not going to blackface myself and go as Michael Jackson to like a school party or something. But these dudes, man, they don't care.
So, interestingly enough...
In Virginia, it was just... Virginia's the new Florida.
Virginia's falling apart. Yeah. And it all started with the abortion debate. But if the governor resigns and the lieutenant governor, which I don't think would resign because he's really fighting this one isolated sexual assault allegation... And I kind of said to Creasy before the show, I said, before we roast
that just
him...
heated up.
We just saw with Kavanaugh... that not everything,
but pause. I'm assuming you listen up first today. Yeah. She's come forward. We know who she is now.
Well, she has Christine Ballsy Ford's attorneys.
Well, and he has Kavanaugh's attorneys.
So
pause. America, dear America, lest you think this is all some sort of like regular world you're living in. These people in Virginia now both have the exact same attorneys as the last thing we just watched, right? Mm-hmm. But, and again, right, she is like a fellow at Harvard? Like a degree from Harvard and Yale.
Yeah, she's a doctor.
Teaches, a
Just
doctor.
Like
so anyway, again.
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah, it all sounds very familiar.
Well, look.
Listen, they think we didn't get it the first time.
But she's a Democrat.
That's right.
So they're on the same side of the aisle. What I'll say, though, is with regards to the process in Virginia, so if the governor resigns, the lieutenant governor resigns, the attorney general resigns, the Speaker of the House, who's a Republican,
that's right,
will become governor. Cox, I think, is his last name.
Cox, it is. It's
and
Cox.
He's only speaker because of a lot casting ballot.
They cast lots. They cast lots.
Swayed one seat in the House. They call it the House of Delegates. There, swayed one seat to give it conservative control, which made him speaker. So, this seems conspiratorial.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's like
there's a lot going on.
This one is worth the invest. There needs to be a podcast on this.
Yeah, as I float above America, guys, Rob Alderman, investigative journalist, I can tell you this. There's a lot I haven't figured out.
You can't float anymore, too much carbon emissions.
I haven't figured it all out, Jay Adam. But one thing I've figured out is when I come back down, I don't want to land in Virginia.
No, you don't.
It's not. I'm going to stay away from Virginia.
Well, look, you know what?
Remember when Virginia was just for lovers, Creasy?
This thing is steeped in hypocrisy, steeped in it, because now the Democrats set the Kavanaugh standard. We're going to give you a rectal exam like you've never, ever had before in the public.
Now, Rick, let me pause you. To our viewers, Rick promised before the show that he was going to use
bingo. Somebody just got bingo.
Rectal exam.
It's a bingo number.
I wanted to make sure it was okay. I gave him the thumbs up. Okay. Continue.
Well, it is an anatomical word, you know.
I know.
Okay.
You and your people have minor medical procedures.
They set the standard on this. So now let's hear the accuser. Let's bring her out. Let's turn the lights on and let's see what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
And let's give her a chance to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing, the one that deals with hypocrisy here is, folks, do some Googling, and you will find blackface of Ted Danson, Joy Behar, Hillary Clinton, and the late night comedians.
Pause. So, you're saying Hillary Clinton has worn blackface?
Look it up.
And that's not Photoshop.
She's standing there with Bill Clinton.
In blackface?
Yeah. Well, Bill Clinton was the first black president. Do we remember this?
Yes,
I remember that was like
that well.
And the interesting thing is, right, so here we go. Oh, man. Here we go. Democrats, What are you going to do with this?
Yeah.
How does he continue to be a pillar upon which your liberalism stands? He is literally all the thing. He is the Virginia poster boy. He's not even from Virginia.
We didn't say Bill Clinton dressed in blackface.
No, he said Hillary dressed in blackface.
That I want to see that photo, and I want it validated.
Okay.
I do. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I'm saying that seems to be an easy one to Photoshop.
Yeah, I don't know. Can we talk about Liam Neeson? Did you see he went back on Good Morning America?
Really?
He went back on to face the music.
Because he said that black people robbing other people.
Here's what he said.
Okay.
In his press junket, somebody said, how do you channel rage for Cold Pursuit, his movie? And he was talking about a time many, many years ago when he had been traveling, came back, found out that one of his dear friends had been brutally raped. At that time, he said to her, did you know who did it? She said to him, right? So the full story is he asked her lots of details. How tall was he? How short was he? What was he like? How was he dressed? Part of it was this is a black man. So she in this case happened to have been raped by a black man. Okay. Now, when he told the story in the press junket, all he said was he was so enraged, he's trying to figure out what to do, that he then began to walk around late at night in parts of town that he knew were predominantly black, hoping to be attacked so he could take his rage out on this person, right? And it basically came out, I walked around hoping to attack a black man, right? To which he now has sat being interviewed by a black woman on TV. She didn't, in my opinion, didn't let him off the hook, right? He didn't want to be off. I want to say that. He didn't want to be off the hook, right? He was there to say, on my reflection, he said, my personal reflection was, one day, he did this for a couple weeks, and he then was like, why am I doing this? What have I become? Why am I letting this rage consume me and who I am and all of these things? And so he's trying to face this music, and I think one of the things we need to contend with as I float above America and I look down is we need to say, and I think, how we talk about there's things we don't know how to comment on? Sometimes we sit on the show with the ladies and we're just quiet because they got to talk about things that we don't or haven't experienced. I don't know how many black people watch our show. I know a couple do, right? I won't say their names, but they're on here. They don't normally comment, but they're there. We see them pop up. I would love to know, and I mean this genuinely, right? What is, in their opinion, is there any difference between a Liam Neeson who says, this is a thing I said, it is not a representation really of who I even was then, right? But the press junket when it said it's like this, right? Versus, I don't even know if that was me in the blackface, right? Because it's all hitting the media at once. The media wants to tell you these are the same things, right? Now, for me, as a white man in America, something I've literally never experienced, right? I've not experienced systemic racism, right, in this way. I would love to know from some of our black viewers, right, what are their feelings? Like, how'd you feel when you first heard about Liam Neeson? How'd you feel when you saw this photo and you know what's going on in Virginia, right? And, where do we move from here? That's be a thing. We talk about manning up on this show all the time. There's certain places we don't know to go.
For a couple of my friends, it wasn't even on their radar.
Yeah.
They're not paying any attention to Liam Neeson. They're not watching Good Morning America.
I didn't understand why it came out like that.
They're not. There's.
It was a good interview. I watched the whole
thing. There's consistency with them with regards to let people speak their mind and let us deal with stuff, and it's really surprising to me.
Well, and one thing he did say was, had she said I was raped by a white man, his rage would have been that he would have been walking around looking to be attacked by a white man, right? So
I don't believe that.
Right. This is what I'm saying. We have our own thoughts about this, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying I would like to hear from our black viewers.
Kind of the convenience of it. I didn't.
The convenience of it.
It wasn't even really on my radar until you brought it up.
Okay.
I think Liam Neeson has recently said a lot of stupid things, and we've tuned him out. Maybe. It's kind of, and we're starting to do that. I mean, take note, Hollywood. There comes a point, you can get away with one stupid thing, Taylor Swift, and probably recover from it. But you can't get away with like this consistent, pattern of having opinions that are divisive and derived from insanity. You just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about it.
No, that's okay.
Everybody suffers. Unless you're on The View. If you're on The View, you can stay on The View and continue to say that stuff over and over.
I don't watch The View. We talked about this already.
And I can't even see
The View from where I'm at floating above America. Do you see them in your wandering medical procedures?
Is anyone still arguing that The View is a popularly watched program? I saw something, and I didn't investigate to know whether it's true. So here we go. This is us admitting what we have here. I saw something that said more people view segments of The View on YouTube when they do something outrageous than actually watch the show.
That makes sense.
The only time I would watch it is when you're trapped in the doctor's office, and it's on the TV. It's frightening to think about the audience. What is the composition of the audience that listens to The View? It's frightening to me.
Okay. I guess...
Now, before anyone goes nuts, I am aware that the picture of Hillary is a hoax. But I was throwing that in, but I'm not kidding about Joy Behar and Danson and others.
Okay.
But anyway.
I didn't know it was a hoax or not a hoax. I hadn't heard it before you said it.
Yeah, it's out there.
We're living in Trump's Virginia. Anything could happen.
Trump's Virginia. Crying out loud.
Everybody says that the problem with Virginia is DC's been encroaching upon it.
Of course.
Right? And that's why it's changed so dramatically. And for those of you who haven't been to Virginia, and a lot of states are like this.
It's DC Junior, right? It's DC Junior.
If you've ever seen the map that breaks down voting by county and just how isolated pockets of liberal control are. It's not there's liberalism throughout the country. So even though it may show red in Bradley County, 30% of the people in Bradley County are still Democrats, right? Just because it's predominant. So it's still kind of spread out there. But if you look at Virginia,
the maps are misleading.
It's DC, Newport News, maybe up towards Manchester a little bit, but Southwest Virginia is pretty much Kentucky.
Right.
Solid red.
Yeah.
It's well, here's what we do know, right? Like when we talk about the inevitability of the numbers, right? Urban sprawl directly affects, right, the color of a state. It just does. And so this DC sprawl is into Virginia, right? And we're going to continue to see that. I think. Look, maybe can I just offer this as a possible solution? What if we just give up on Virginia? I think we all gave up on Florida.
Well, from an electoral college note, we should have. We should.
We give up on California for sure.
We should.
Well, California now is like a meme of itself.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm back to believing that California is just where you go rollerblading. I don't consider anything else coming out of the state as of any importance. Except for rollerblading, I wouldn't mind to go to the beach every once in a while. But there are other beaches. I don't have to go to that one.
Right.
I like that rollerblading.
I like what you said about the urban sprawl thing, because keep in mind, folks, that urbanism matters because urbanism at its core is where people choose to be more collective and less independent.
Yeah.
So it demands more government.
Yeah, we live in the county for a reason. People live in the county for a reason.
And as it sprawls, you start making people demand the more government that you demand. And so it would be wise for those of you who enjoy the urban environment and are urbanists to look and say, maybe I shouldn't force my lifestyle on the rest of the nation.
Yeah, no,
that would go a long way.
Somebody who's actually really rational about this is oh man, I almost said a name again. We have a viewer here that everyone knows. He comments on the show a lot, and he is a left moderate. Okay, he's not all the way down the trail, right? He and I have a lot of discussions about sprawl and about so this particular person lived in downtown Chicago for a while, right? And we talked about the idea of psychographics and how much you can be influenced by the place you're steeped in, right? And again, this comes back to all these studies about kids and saying, for instance, a kid from a positive family, right, that lives in a bad neighborhood is more likely to commit crimes than a kid who lives in a family that has committed crimes but is surrounded by a neighborhood where crimes aren't committed, right? And the reason for this is every day our mind is making associations with what we see. So even though this child might be from a family in which the father, for instance, is committing crimes, if when he walks out his door, the majority of what he sees is real life is that people aren't committing crimes. Everybody around me are, then he's less likely to become like his father, more likely to become like his neighborhood, right? So when we look at urban sprawl, we need to remember, those of us in the county, right? I'm going to use that word loosely. It's a county, and what I'm saying now, people, is a philosophy, the mindset of the county, right? It would be wise for us to remember in this divide that we've been talking about in the nation that we are encountering much different needs for government than each other, right? So to the person who walks out the door in an urban area and is stepping over a homeless person immediately, right? Or is looking at the needs of, let's say, like a downtown urban city waterway, right? You don't have those needs in the country. And not only that, they can be opposed, right? Correct. They can be opposed. So let's say you're in the county and what you actually need is permission to dig irrigation to your farm, right? But there's a government law prohibiting that and is instead funneling money to a program, a government-funded program for the homeless that you don't have.
This deserves some discussion, so we're going to pick it up next week. We'll have maybe Rob in on Tuesday. Let's talk a little bit about that because it's something we forget often when we talk about these things, these ideas of smaller government and choice.
Yeah.
Talk 101.3 The Buzz, WTV Television. Have a good weekend, guys. Thanks to Creasy. Thanks to maybe Rob. Peace out.